Afternoon, all. And how the hell did I do that? Afternoon, all. We are now live on YouTube, and we are setting up for a biology paper one. Uh, Niffy sent the advent trunk. Right, that makes thanks, Niffy. Much appreciated. So if you are on my YouTube account now, you will be able to see our GCSE EdXL combined science. Thanks, Mike. Much appreciated. And with this combined science paper, we will start a series now of different papers. And as we are going through the different papers, we will be able to work through it. And with working through these questions, it will give you an idea of what the examiner is actually looking for in their answers and in their questions. So, as you can see here, our first question states figure one shows an animal cell. Which part of the animal cell is labeled Y? So that's the first thing I'm looking at is that actual question, and I'm looking at how many marks it's worth. So as a student, this is exactly what you should be doing, is going straight to how many marks we're looking for. And with this, we can start to rule things out. Now, an animal cell, for example, does not have a cell wall. Uh, it does have a nucleus, it does have a cell membrane, and it does have a cytoplasm. So, in this scenario, for cell Y, I am simply looking at a cell membrane. And this is one of these questions where students very easily get mistaken because they see that it's a line on the outside and they jump straight into thinking it's a cell wall. But you've got to make sure you're checking that it says animal cell only. Then let's move on to the next question. So, which structure are found in the part labeled Z? So, this part is our nucleus, and with the nucleus, we would find our chromosomes. So, the mitochondria is found inside the cell as one of our organelles. The ribosomes, again, is a organelle found inside our cells, and the vacuole, for those of you following along on our YouTube live, thank you very much for the likes. Comment as well as we're going to make sure that any questions you have are getting answered. The vacuole is only found in plant cells, so would not be what we're looking for in our animal cell. Now, when we're then starting to move on to the next question, name the part of the animal cell where respiration occurs. So they're just looking for a name in this scenario. They're not looking for a description or an explanation. So where respiration occurs, that is in our mitochondria. So this question should realistically specify aerobic respiration, but depending on the level of the question that they're currently looking at, depends on what they are actually um, going to look for in this question. But we would be looking for mitochondria is where respiration occurs. So moving us on down, and again, if you're just joining us on TikTok, please go down. Please go to our YouTube account where you'll be able to follow along and visually see the exam paper live on screen. And with this information, let's go straight to the question. And again, this is one of the things when I'm doing any of my tutoring that I guide students to do is before you even look at any of the image, before you look at any of the questions, go straight to the question. And when I say ignore all the information, do that. Go straight to the question and find that command word that is in the question instead. So in this command word, we are looking at give, and our marks is only 1 mark. So again, we're not looking for a huge amount of information. We're looking for a low level amount of uh, information. So give one advantage of using a microscope to look at cells. So if you're live with us right now, comment in the box below and tell me what is an advantage of using a microscope to look at cells. Thank you for those giving roses and things like that on the TikTok. That's much appreciated. And for anyone also doing any of the other things as well. Um, really do appreciate it. It helps what I do out a lot, and it provides funds to future projects as well. Um, so for this question in particular, we would actually be looking at images in a more magnified amount. Good Lord, Dr. Rex Wing 10, thank you very much. I feel like you're just hitting that button continuously. And we can see things in more detail. So we look through a microscope so we can see things in more detail. We can see some of the organelles. We can just look at the whole thing much clearer. And it's exactly what we would do when we're looking through a telescope. When we're looking through a telescope, it's the opposite. We're obviously looking at things from far away. And when we're looking at them things far away, we are able to then start to recognize the planets and things like that in detail. Whereas the microscope is micro, we're going small scale and zooming in. I've already got the mustache. Thanks for that. So moving us on to the next question then. Draw one straight line from each part of the microscope to its function. Now, this is a question I see students go wrong on time and time again. Now, it's only worth 2 marks, and it's clearly stating here, draw one straight line. Now, I have seen people over the years say, well, if you kind of jumble it all up in the middle here, for example, and then go to the thing and you jumble this up, the examiner has to award you the mark. That's not the case at all. The exam is very specific on saying draw a straight line. And if you're not doing that, they will not award you the mark that they are looking for. So don't think you're able to trick the examiner. You're only going to lose marks straight off the bat. Now, the parts of the microscope we're looking at is the eyepiece lens. So for those of you on the live, can you tell me what we use the eyepiece lens for? And one of our students has answered one of the previous questions, easy to operate. It would, I suppose, make it easier to operate. But what are we operating? So in this situation, what are we using the eyepiece? And one of my viewers on TikTok has got the answer right, and it would be to look through into the microscope and see the cells. So they've got that one right, so well done. And what then for our next question is, what do we use the microscope for? And again, comment below of what do we use the microscope for? What do we use the stage of the microscope for, is what I'm asking you this time. Do we place slides on it? Do we carry the microscope? Do we make the cell look brighter? Or do we reflect light onto the cells? What answer am I looking for here? And when we are picturing something like this, this is where we should be looking at our eyepiece, our stage is exactly that, Mr. Bombastic, as your name is correctly answered there. You do place the slide on the stage of the microscope. And for those of you not sure what you're looking at, this is um, a very simple microscope here. And this part here, this is your stage. And we have little stage clips here that we would use to actually hold the microscope down. Andy, let me in what? I don't know what you mean. Sorry. Now, moving us on. Um, Remember, we are live on YouTube, so do go over and you can see exactly what we are talking through on this exam paper. Lots of students are watching on you on the coach heading back from a day at the Victoria and Albert Museum. Oh, lovely. Well, I'm at UTC again tomorrow to give an assembly to year 10s, so I hope to see many of you there. Moving us on to the next question then for this paper is, and again, be ready to answer. The question is asking you, give the name of the smallest unit shown in figure 3. When it comes down to the question, for those of you that can't see, the actual question is asking you what is smaller. Is it a micrometer, nanometer, picometer, or millimeter? So which one is it? I requested to join the TikTok live. Can you accept? Not at the minute, because I'm live on YouTube as well. But maybe another time when it comes to a different live session that we would be having. Okay. Um, Again, get over to YouTube and watch live there because you can see the past paper that I'm currently looking at. So, what they're showing you on this is the micrometer, picometer, nanometer, and millimeter. And they've got 10 to the 6, 10 to the 9, 10 to the 12, and 10 to 3, all negatives. And with this, um, whatever has the biggest negative number next to the 10 to the power of is gonna be our smallest. So we've had a couple of comments saying about it being the nanometer, or people saying millimeter. The picometer is smaller than all three. So millimeter is the largest, followed closely by the micrometer, which is a thousandth smaller. So when we, can you show Groot in the background? Yeah, Groot's up there. I've got another. Have I got another group? I can't remember. I've got all sorts behind me in regards to um, science, Star Wars, Lego, and things like that. So micrometer is smaller than a millimeter. Nanometer is a thousandth of a micrometer, and a picometer is a thousandth of a nanometer. So when we're going through I couldn't see the numbers next to it. Oh, sorry about that. They're located here in the. If I zoom in for you, there you go. Um, just above the actual question. So when we're looking at the metric system in general, all of the metric system is a thousandth of each other. And when we're going through our meters to kilometers to millimeters, it's all a thousandth. The only exception in this scenario would actually be the centimeter, which is a hundredth of a meter, or there is 100 millimeters in 1 centimeter, or 10 millimeters, sorry, in 1 centimeter. Coin power up. 89337 yours now. I don't know what that means, but okay. Um, uh, free TikTok coins link in the bio. Oh, okay. That's not to do with me. I don't know what that means. So moving us on then on to future questions. So we're now looking at question 2A of paper 2023 Edexcel for those of you following live on YouTube. And with this, we've got a question talking about which layer of rock is likely to contain the most recent fossils. So when we're looking at fossilization and how fossils are developed, layer A, because it's the closest to the surface. It's exactly that. It is layer A because it's closest to the surface. So for those of you on TikTok right now, we actually have a image showing a range of sizes, and with that, sizes, layer of fossilized rock, and obviously the layer that's at the thanks Niffy, the layer that's at the very surface is the most recent layer of fossilization. The further down into soil you go, the more uh, old it is. And this is actually what we are using as well when we're looking at um, ice records as well. So we will go to the places like the North and the South Pole, and we will bore a tube hole all the way down into the ice, and we extract the ice out. And what we're able to do is look at oxygen levels on the different actual layers of ice that we take out. And so we can then actually see how the O2 levels over the lifespan of that ice, for example, has changed as well. And this is how we can then start to understand how our planet has actually developed over the years with this as well. Now, the next question is actually wanting to get an explanation from you. So, again, comment below. So, we've got uh, a range of tools, and with this range of tools, they're wanting to know why one of the differences between tool A and B, C, and D. Now, when we're looking at a question like this, um, what we are looking at, and for those of you, like I've said, that are on um, TikTok, do get over to YouTube and you'll see this question. We've got the command word, first of all, explain. So the command word explain is wanting a why. Why uh, are you giving that answer? It's not asking describe, it's not asking for a what. And when we start to break these kind of questions down and think about what the question's asking us, your marks will instantly increase. So in this scenario, we've got 2A, which is a primitive circular rock with a couple of sharp edges that have been broken off. Tool B, C, and D are a lot more refined. They've been broken into more of like a sphere head or an arrowhead or more of like a blade shape. And that says to us it has been worked a lot more. And with it being worked a lot more, it means that it's a more evolved human than what tool A was, because tool A would have been made by early humans. Now, when we start to then look at our next question, and what I did there, first of all, is I gave you the answer is, and I gave that why that is the answer, by the way. So looking at our next question, we've got a gap fill. So we've got a box of 6 different words, and with this box of 6 different words, it's only worth two. We've got a whole load of information here that we can actually skip by. And we can go straight to the actual gap fill itself. Animals with the most desirable blank were bred together. This is called blank breeding. So the information that we would then be looking for here is the actual information saying our human ancestors domesticated animals. Now, when we talk about domesticated animals, we are looking at pets and we are looking at working animals like anything based around a farm, chicken, cattle, pig, donkeys. They're all uh, animals that would have desired characteristics, again, correctly answered by one of our YouTube viewers. And we would refer to this as selective breeding. So, selective breeding is literally where I have found a load of people, found a species and gone, well, that I want it to be slightly bigger or slightly smaller, or I want it to be pink or red. If I was looking at like flowers and things like that, and I would selectively choose the desirable characteristics, breed that species together over many generations. And that is one of the key things as well that a lot of students forget, is that when it comes to selective breeding, it's not a one off. It's something that you would do multiple generations so that you are able to gain the most desired actual um, animal. So this is why, for example, we have um, such a range of species. And one of the comments is just said about how pugs and bulldogs used to be healthy, but due to selective breeding, it has caused health defects, and that is true. As they have been bred, it has had a knock-on effect to their actual lifestyle, and their nose and things like that has become shorter, causing more breathing issues as well as other things. Uh, Hey, Arthur, nice to see you. Thanks for joining today. Our next question is, what is the definition of a genome? And again, this is just one mark, it's a multi choice question. So, are all the cells of an organism? Is it all the enzymes of an organism, all the DNA of an organism, or all the structures of an organism? So, what is the definition of a genome? And for those of you that might have heard of it, there is something called the Genome Project. And with the Genome Project, this would help you understand the answer. So when we're looking at uh, what a genome is, the project's full name is actually the Human Genome Project, was the original project, and it's where we mapped out all DNA of the human organism. So for this particular question, we'd be looking at the answer C, all of the DNA of an organism. Now, when we're looking at uh, any genome, we can start mapping out multiple different species. And by mapping out all the different species, we can start to actually use that to help us understand how evolution has occurred and what the ancestors of different species are. So this isn't just a, okay, well, there's a human, we know what makes up their DNA. We can actually start to develop a greater understanding of similarities between species. The next question is asking you, what is one advantage of domesticating animals? So can you comment below and tell me what an advantage of domesticating animals would be. And I'll give you a few seconds to answer for that before I um, go through anything with this. Bearing in mind, obviously, when we're talking about, for those that have just joined, when we talk about domesticating animals, we are talking about working animals as well as pets as well. So, domestication of any animal where it depends on us is domestication. So, again, comment below on what an advantage of domesticating animals is. So if you were thinking that it would be animals being less dangerous or making jobs easier, for example, obviously we look at horses for, or originally we looked at horses for pulling carts. Um, Hey Oreo. We then have looked at companionship as well. Obviously, many people have either a dog or cat for companionship, giving humans protection. So, obviously, I mean, we would have a number of different species for protection, food security as well. When we look at the domestication of farm animals and how we've ended up breeding them so that we um, continually have, for example, cows and things like that. That is one of the ways that we would be actually getting food security, and that would be an advantage of domesticating animals. Moving us on to the next question. So the next question is showing is a discussion. So for 1 mark, give one way the structure of the limb of a whale provides evidence for evolution. So we've got in our image, for those of you that can't see, we've got an image of a bird's wing and the image of a whale's arm or fin, if you will. And the bird and the whale have evolved from a common ancestor together. And it's quite a hard thing to picture that a bird and a whale came from the same ancestor. But how would we then be able to represent this? And hold on, let me see if I can switch my camera around a minute for those of you. Oh, we can. Right, there we are. Let's flip the camera and you can then see what I'm showing you. So this is the bird and a whale fins as arms or wings, etc. How can we look at something like this and know that our bird and whale comes from the same living organism? And when we are looking at something like that, and taking you back to the other lens now. When we're looking at something like that, what we would be looking at is the similar patterns in the bones. So they have, for example, the 5 digits, as you saw in the video, in the image just then. They have that similar bone shape. And this is where we then start to look at the bigger ideas of how evolution has come about. We can look at their DNA and we can look at the actual information provided. Now, the next question is a question linking to Charles Darwin. So, Charles Darwin developed the theory of evolution by natural selection. Which scientist worked with Darwin on the theory of evolution by natural selection? So, we've got Alexander Fleming, Gregor Mendel, Richard Leakey, or Alfred Russel Wallace. Yo, Andy was good. Is that when I say what's good? I'm not 100% sure. If it's what's good, all is good. Thank you very much. Um, my bad. Not a problem. Uh, Everything's good. Thank you. So, when we're thinking about who worked with Charles Darwin, it was Alfred Russel Wallace. He worked alongside Charles Darwin for um, the theory of evolution by natural selection. Now, we are at the half an hour mark for today, so we will end it there. If you haven't already, please follow to show support for what I do. Please make sure any likes, any if you can make any donations to the GoFundMe that we have links on our platforms for. That would be amazing. And um, any support that you can provide is always much appreciated. Have a great no, I've lost the YouTube. Have a great week, everyone, and I will see you next time. All right. Uh. Bye, everyone. Will you be doing it tomorrow? I'll be at UTC tomorrow. And when it comes to these sessions, I'm going to pick some days and start running a biology, a chemistry, and a physics 3 days a week. So there will be half an hour sessions weekly. So I have taken on board what students have said and where people have asked if there could be the 3 sessions on Monday. This Monday coming, there could be a live where I will be going through some practical work as requested by a student I used to teach as well. So I will be looking at that um, on Monday and getting some student volunteers at Plymouth City College to help me with that. All right. So again, if you could hit the like, hit the follow button. If you can follow on across the different platforms, we're on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. If you can follow us on all 4 platforms, that would be amazing. Share with anyone that you know to help spread the word of what I'm doing. That would be amazing. Speak to you all again next time. Bye for now.